the show just really makes Bill very dumb when it comes to Hayley. Good afternoon or evening, everyone. It's Monday, which means we are beginning another week of Beyond the Gates. And today's Monday episode was fine, I guess. But there was a couple of things that I found royally stupid with today's episode. Probably more than that. But two things in particular were the worst parts of the episode. But let's begin with Pick Me Cat, so I could just get talking crap about Cat out of the way. I've been doing it a lot lately, but the writing doesn't help that character at all. Today, she is at the country club and she sees Hayley there. Hayley's preoccupied seeing Izaiah arrive, which we'll talk about in a second, but Cat sits down with Hayley wanting advice about how it is to be a stealing homewrecker, or how a family stealing homewrecker's mind works. Because, of course, Hayley was a homewrecker with Bill and Dani. And I guess Kat is worried that Eva might try and sleep with Tomas again. Here's my problem with this whole thing. And, Hayley gave her best advice that there were already cracks in Dani and Bill's marriage, which is true because, as we know, Bill was cheating on Dani before Hayley came along. And so Hayley's advice to Kat was to make sure there's no cracks in their relationship so that someone can't get in a crack and make it work like she did with Bill, even though she's on her whole thing that she and Bill just fell in love. But anyway, Kat once again looks obsessed with Eva for one. Once again, this is another episode of Kat worried about Eva. Again, this is another example. I don't care what anybody says. This happens every time Kat's on an episode, which is why I have a problem with it so often, which is why I have to sit here and drag Kat so often. But it's even worse that if she's worried that Tomas might sleep with Eva again, shouldn't she have a problem with Tomas? Like, shouldn't that be a blinking red flag that the relationship might be in trouble if she really suspects Tomas might sleep with Eva again? But instead, she wants to really try and hang on to Tomas, makes an impromptu date with him to kind of smooth things over because they've had a lot of problems in their relationship because she's always flying off the handle and he's always taking Eva's side. It's just obviously not a good relationship. But this is once again showing that Kat really does care to make this shitty relationship work with Tomas. In this date with Tomas, she is promising to be more chill moving forward in their relationship. And saying that she might even see a therapist and work on getting over holding things against Eva, or at least forgiving Eva like Nicole has been able to do. She wants to talk to her mom about that. If that's true, that might actually be some progress for the Kat character to maybe finally move her in a different direction other than just being obsessed with Eva. But I'll believe that when I see that. All in all, though, I thought these scenes were just, once again, bad writing for Kat. She looks really bad in the situation, and the Kat fandom. I mean, even the actress Colby who plays Kat, she posted something the other day. And by the way, I love Colby Muhammad. I think she's great in the role, and I love her social media. And even she posted something the other day that she knows Kat stans are going through it because I feel like she understands why Kat's been getting so much grief lately by a lot of us.
Team Kat, Kit Kat brats, my brats. I was coming on here to check on you guys. It's been a rough week for the Kat supporters, for the Kat fans.
She's not going to say that it's the writing, but she understands that. I think she understands that her character is a pick-me. I really do. And that her fans are having a hard time accepting that, but that's what's happening. As for Hayley, she has a conversation with Izaiah later. Izaiah was talking with Jacob. They were not talking about anything too interesting, Jacob was finding it odd that Kat and Hayley were sitting together. But when Jacob left, Hayley stopped Izaiah from leaving to have a chat with him because Hayley clearly is attracted to Izaiah and wanting to know more about Izaiah. And she's telling him a lot about her. She finds it interesting that he was no saint before. And since she is finding out that he wasn't a saint before, she thinks that he could be a good friend for her. And she thinks that because he's been misjudged about his past as well, so it should be more fitting, I guess. I will say the show trying to paint Izaiah as a former bad boy isn't really working. I feel like Izaiah is coming across soft. I think the actor needs to loosen up and maybe be a little more suave, then maybe I would buy it. But it's also a writing problem, I guess. Because this was the same thing with Andre. Andre was supposed to be this player when the show first started, and it never really came across that way because of the writing. Mostly because he was falling for milquetoast Ashley, so that didn't really help. But yeah, Hayley's into Izaiah. I am wondering if they're setting up a Izaiah, Eva, Hayley triangle. I mean, anything that gets Eva out of Tomas and Kat's orbit, I will be very accepting. And it would be a better triangle than some of these other failures, I think. But I don't know if the show really needs to try another triangle right now after the failures that they have tried. But, you know, the Dani, Bill, Andre one could work. Hayley's still involved in that, though, too. But that's good. But I don't know if we need a new one quite yet. As for Hayley's plan with Bill and poisoning him, Randy's not enjoying that she has a side quest right now with Izaiah, that she's attracted to Izaiah. And Randy's trying to tell her that Joey might be onto them. And so she needs to focus on the main quest of taking out Bill sooner rather than later, is what it sounds like. Which Hayley has been poisoning Bill a lot. So like I said last week, I'm still wondering when this poison is really going to take effect, and we're going to start to see that effect on Bill. Bill today had some scenes with Caroline and Tomas, but those weren't really interesting. And then Jacob and Bill had some scenes. This is when Jacob told Bill about how Naomi saw Hayley's text message and saw about the birth control, and is Hayley lying about really wanting to have a child? This is one of the things I found very stupid today, that Bill just bought Hayley's terrible excuse we talked about last week, that she's taking birth control for reasons to help her have a child later because of her hormones. It's just a dumb thing to accept, for Bill to just accept. But he seems to be falling for it. The show just really makes Bill very dumb when it comes to Hayley. Anyway, Bill tried to play that off, and he tried to tell Jacob to focus less on Bill and Hayley's relationship and more on Jacob's relationship with Naomi, because there seems to be tension between them, which we know there is. And I just still wish that Jacob and Naomi had less airtime. That's what I wish. What else happened today? Leslie and Eva had some scenes. The other stupid thing today was the fact that Leslie is in charge of inviting people to Winterfest. Like, I already thought that Anita and Nicole wanting Leslie involved with Winterfest was probably some pretty bad writing. It's very convoluted. They should not want her anywhere near it, and they should have the means to keep her away from Winterfest. But apparently, instead, they've given Leslie some important decisions where Winterfest is concerned. So that came across as a very stupid decision and a weak decision from Anita and Nicole last week with the way today's episode played out. But I guess Leslie's in charge of invitations to Winterfest. And so Jan and Mona came in. Mona's trying to ignore Leslie. Leslie's saying that Mona is nosy, and when she sees Leslie doing the guest list, she's going to come over wanting to find out what's going on. Mona's telling Jan she can never forgive Leslie, though, because Leslie did run Laura off the road, and she did probably inject her with potassium. But Jan's still giving Leslie the benefit of the doubt. While Eva and Leslie are talking, Eva freaks out when she finds out that Leslie met Izaiah because she doesn't want her crazy mom to ruin that for her, which I can't blame her. But after that, Izaiah comes to Orpheus. Izaiah and Eva have their moments together at the end of the episode, and Izaiah seems to want some alone time with Eva, so we'll see how that goes. It does still have me questioning, though, if they are setting up an Eva, Izaiah, Hayley love triangle. I said months and months ago that Eva and Hayley should have become friends because they don't have no friends on canvas, and they were both being shunned by the Dupree family. And so if they are going to set up that triangle, I think making them friends would have made it more interesting rather than it kind of being a little random. But sometimes this show just decides not to write what it should be writing. Anyway, at the end of the episode, Leslie interrupts Jen and Mona and invites Jen to Winterfest. Mona didn't think she's telling the truth and that Anita wouldn't be so dumb as to leave Leslie in charge of invitations, but she's wrong. Anita did do that, and Mona can't believe it, and it seems like Leslie and Mona's relationship will never be fixed, which is probably for a good reason. I am wondering if they're setting up Leslie to take a fall at Winterfest. The fans really want Leslie to have a fall. We'll see if that happens. I wouldn't get my hopes up, though, if you're one of those people that are hoping for Leslie to have some sort of fall at Winterfest. But it does seem a little overdue. The only other thing that happened today was Andre and Dani on their honeymoon in LA, watching the LA sunrise together. I do miss some LA sunrises and sunsets, so they were right about that. Then they talked about how neither of them had been in such an honest relationship before, and so Andre came clean that Ashley came to him before they left, and that Ashley and Derek are not getting married anymore, and that Ashley wanted Andre again, and that Andre rejected her. Luckily, Andre does not regret him rejecting Ashley because he realizes he wants Dani. So another good thing for that Dani and Andre relationship. I didn't like how they were talking about Derek and Ashley and how Derek was faking his paralysis because he thought that was the only reason Ashley wanted to be with him. And how dare he think that way when he was right? Ashley's never wanted that man, and I will never say otherwise. So once again, Ashley was in the wrong, and I don't like how they have other characters trying to make us believe that Ashley was in the right in that relationship when that's not the case. Anyway, in the end, Andre wants to get a real ring for Dani now that they seem to be embracing their marriage. So sweet scenes for Dani and Andre. Overall, today's episode, it was fine. I always come in to these Beyond the Gates episodes, and especially at the beginning of these weeks, I come in kind of excited, hoping they're really going to bring it. And lately, they just have not been bringing it. But hopefully, whenever Winterfest arrives, that's when they decide to bring it. I'm starting to think it's not going to be until December and not actually here in November. So we're still on the build to Winterfest, and some other things might be developing, like a Hayley, Eva, Izaiah love triangle. And for you soap opera lovers, over on patreon.com/OCGTV, I am doing episodes of Guiding Light from 1984 and then doing reviews on those episodes. And I'm going to be doing different soap operas from the 80s, kind of like a throwback history of some of these soap operas.
Trash.
She had a little affair with Alan Spaulding, big bad villain Alan Spaulding. So if you're looking for an old soap opera to get into, or if you watched an old soap opera back in the day and you want to see it again, come to Patreon and experience it with me.